told you I'd tell you a little bit more about progressive flashcards. And I wanted to point out that you should do this in chunks. And so a lot like the information that I put online with the ongoing vocabulary for English 11, you can see that we have the chunk from the first couple of days in this area, right here. And then we have the chunk from this last piece right here. And I really don't think you should take on more than 12 words at a time in a stack. And if you're doing that way, you'll be able to master 12 at a time through this process and then take care of it. So right now, I'm going to make my flashcards. I'm going to do it the same way that we talked about in class with this young lady right here. And here is her channel piece. And I highly suggest that all of you go and subscribe, because she doesn't just talk about using flashcards. She talks about organizing binders, organizing iPads, how to get A's in college classes, and great ways and skills for you to have in your toolkit in order to be successful in my class and in every other class you take in the future. So you can watch or you can scan forward, but I'm going to take care of making those flashcards for this first set of words right here and a few from the second set. Cheers. It's time for me to make my flashcards, and it's going to take me a little bit of time, and you're not going to want to watch it all, so I'm going to speed it up. But while I'm working on it, I'm going to throw on some tunes, and none of you would like it, so I'm not going to share. Bye. Now we have our cards, we have our 12 cards, we're ready to rock and roll, and let's make this happen. So what I want you to think about right now is, how do we use progressive flashcards? We already know the general, so now I need to talk about how to use progressive. And it's really simple. You all know the basic way to use flashcards. You go through them and you look at the front and you say, this is allegory, and then you try to remember what the back says, and you don't. So you look at it, and you understand this is a representation of abstract principles in art, play, and book. This goes in the bad pile. Bad pile. And then you look at the next one, and you see that it says aside, and you say that in a play, which is what we're talking about, that aside means that the actor stops speaking to the people in the play and starts having dialogue meant for the audience. That goes in the good pile. Good pile. Now, in step 1 of progressive flashcards, it's actually very simple. Your goal is to get through your stack of 12, getting them all correctly without having to look. And so as you go through them, you will make your guess. And if it's wrong, you'll put it in that pile, which is my left. And if it's right, you put it in that pile, which is my right. And that is how it works. And it looks a little bit like this. Alliteration. The use of the same consonant over and over again at the beginning of words in a line of poetry or play. That's correct. Good pile. Allusion, to allude to give reference to make it sound like you know what's happening, to refer to something without referring to it, without stating it specifically. So, indirect reference, that goes in the good pile. To exemplify, I don't have any idea. Antagonist, I got it right, but it doesn't mean bad guy. It means anti-protagonist, which is not necessarily bad guy, because my protagonist could be my main character and be a serial killer. So maybe the antagonist morally would be a good guy.
And I say, Zangief, you are bad guy, but this does not mean you're bad guy.
Which brings us to moral ambiguity, or doubting the good and evil of decisions. Good pile. Good pile. And tragedy. Tragedy is a story or a play in which our hero or our protagonist is destined to have a terrible existence by the end and suffer great loss due to a tragic flaw that he has, like, pride in such beautiful hair. Good pile. Very Shakespearean, you know. Good pile. But the problem is that while I did so well and I have such a great good pile, I did terribly on these three in my bad pile. So I haven't made it past step 1. I can't move to step 2 if I haven't passed step 1. So what I have to do then is I have to learn these 3. So instead of looking at the word first and guessing the definition, I actually test myself by looking at the definition first and saying vivid language to represent objects, actions, or ideas. And they say, oh, I didn't remember that before, but it makes sense that vivid language would create a picture in my head or an image. So I would say that this was imagery. Now next time I see imagery, I'm going to remember the idea that I had here talking about a picture in my head, a vivid picture in my head, and I'll remember imagery. So I put that down. Representation of abstract principles in art, play, and book. Now, that's tough. I don't remember what that means. There's no clue there that tells me what it means. So I gotta look at it and say allegory. And then for me, I'm just gonna have to do a little bit of rote memorization. Go, allegory. Representation of abstract principles in art, play, or book. Allegory. Representation of abstract principles in art, play, or book. Allegory. Until I remember it. And then I gotta test myself again because I'm still in step 1. And you cannot get past step 1 until you go through everything in step 1 and get it all correct. And that looks a little bit something like this. So there it is. Step 1. Complete. Now, I'll have step 2 all ready for you for tomorrow, but you're not going to be past step 1 yet, so you don't have to worry about not having it right now. This movie's getting entirely too long, and it's taking entirely too long to make it, so I am going to go read your essays because I have nothing better to do. Good night.